the previous lecture, we have majorly discussed about the general protocol of finding the amplitude ratio and phase shift upon bypassing the tedious this direct method, which includes the determination of these coefficients associated to partial fraction, right? So what we did finally, that we have shown and proved it generally, that if in a transfer function, if I substitute S, the Laplace parameter, by j omega, we will get a complex number, and upon this rationalizing the complex number, if we extract out the magnitude and argument of this complex number, we see that the magnitude is of that complex number is nothing but the amplitude ratio of the respective frequency response, and the argument is the corresponding phase shift. So we have found the AR and phi, that is the amplitude ratio and the phase shift, for first order, pure capacitive and second order systems, right? So here we will continue our discussion, that is determination of AR and phi for next three different systems we have discussed. So it is for dead time. So as you all know, the dead time has got a transfer function of e to the power minus tau ds. So g j omega is equal to e to the power minus j tau d omega, that is cos of tau d omega minus j into sine of tau d omega. So necessarily the amplitude ratio will be equal to 1 and phase shift is equal to tan inverse of tan of minus tau d omega. So it's giving him directly that minus tau d omega itself. Phi, it will be the PI controller. So for PI controller, GS is equal to Kc into 1 plus 1 by tau I into S. So Gj omega is equal to Kc into 1 plus 1 divided by tau I j omega, which is Kc into 1 minus j1 divided by this tau I, right? So amplitude ratio becomes Kc within bracket 1 plus under root of tau I omega square, and phase shift phi, it's equal to tan inverse of minus 1 by tau I omega. Correct? So 6 is PD controller. PD controller, the GS is equal to Kc into 1 plus tau ds. So Gj omega Kc 1 plus j tau d omega. So these are mostly algebra which we have to repeatedly solve, the same technique. So here AR becomes Kc into 1 plus tau d omega square, and phi is equal to tan inverse of tau d omega. So what we observe here so far, see, for first order, second order, then dead time, PI controller, everywhere we have found that phi was negative. Here only for PD controller, we have got phi to be positive, which means that PD controller always leads the input, right? The output generated by the PD controller always leads the input, and that is basically the specific implication of derivative mode, right? Derivative mode can foresee, it always be, and that's why as it anticipates or it can foresee, because it takes the derivative of this present derivative of this error So essentially it must lead the input, and that's why this phi is equal to purely greater than 0 because of anticipatory derivative. Okay, so 7th let's go for the PID controller. So here GS is equal to Kc1 divided by 1 plus tau Is plus tau ds. So G of j omega is equal to Kc1 plus j tau d omega minus 1 by tau I. So amplitude ratio becomes Kc under root of 1 plus tau d omega minus 1 by tau I omega square, and phi is equal to tan inverse of tau d omega minus 1 by tau I. So you see this phase shift, whether it is positive or negative, that depends on the value of omega. So from here our conclusion is the phi may be greater than or less than 0 based on whether omega is greater than or less than 1 divided by under root of tau d tau I. Right? Because if I set phi is equal to 0, omega becomes 1 divided by under root tau d tau I. So if the omega is lower than this value, it will be positive. If it is higher than this value, it will be negative. Okay? So that is based on the value of omega. So PID controller is neither a pure lag or it's a pure lead, nor it's a pure lead. So basically it will function as lead over a specific range of frequency and will function as a lag above and over the second range of frequency. So next it is non-interacting multi-capacity system. Right, where the overall transfer function G overall S is equal to the product of the individual blocks transfer function. So you see that G overall j omega, G1 j omega into G2 j omega up to Gn j omega. So this is mod of G1 j omega. We can go on writing the mod. Into e to the power j of argument of G j omega or G1 j omega plus argument of G2 j omega and the argument of Gn j omega. Right? So this is equal to AR1, AR2, ARn e to the power j phi 1, phi 2, phi n. Okay? So G overall, this G j omega, we can also write it as G overall j omega, that magnitude into e to the power argument of G j omega, which is equal to AR overall into e to the power j into phi overall. So comparison directly yields that AR overall will be the successive product of ARi and phi will be the sum of phi. Right. So for a multi-capacity non-interacting process, we have this AR overall equal to the successive product of ARi and phi is equal to the successive product of phi I. So that's about the general discussion regarding the amplitude ratio and phi for finding this amplitude ratio and phi for different types of the system. So next, what we have mentioned in the last phase of this previous lecture, that we have to basically think about a representation, a graphical representation of how amplitude ratio and phi varies with omega as omega changes from a very low value, let's say 0 to infinity, right? So these plots, it's very, very important in understanding the behavior of that system, right? And from there we can reveal some of the hidden attributes of the respective transfer function. As I mentioned, that this is the utility of frequency response analysis, because whenever we are trying to find out experimentally that what is the transfer function of this specific system, now some of the hidden attributes of that transfer function which you cannot decipher with normal step input, actually you can extract out with a frequency response analysis. And to understand that, what kind of this properties or attributes are there which is not actually extractable with a normal step input, for that, in order to understand that, we have to actually understand that variation or variational profile of amplitude ratio and phase shift with the input frequency. So here we are, we'll be discussing these profiles of amplitude ratio and phase shift with omega. And there are two different types of plots. One is called the Bode plot. Another is Nyquist plot. Right. One is the Bode plot, another is the Nyquist plot. So Bode plot, see, first we will have a discussion on Bode plot and we will try to understand that how to construct this Bode plot for different types of the system. So Bode plot. See, first there are certain characteristics. As we have to cover a wide range of omega starting from 0 to a very large value, we choose log axis to represent omega, right? Because the log is more or less equal resolution space, where whenever we are varying this omega from 0 to 1 and from 100 to 1000, more or less in every scale the resolution actually is more or less same, right? So we choose log axis to represent the wide domain of omega. Now to have a Bode plot, basically the second is we choose log axis 2 for representation of amplitude ratio and rectangular axis for phi, the phase shift. Okay. Why? It will be automatically clear once we go for the discussion. Now see, think of a time where we don't have a computational facility. We don't have softwares like Excel. So there, the calculations of the amplitude ratio and phi value, which may include transcendental functions and nonlinear functions, it was not so easy, right? So if still we have to plot the amplitude ratio versus omega or phi versus omega over the entire domain, we may use a mathematical technique called the asymptotes. So, asymptotes, or topic here what we want to discuss, the idea of asymptotes in Bode plot. Right. Now see, general function. Consider y is equal to function of x in the domain x 0 to infinity. And our objective is to plot this x versus y. Right. So what we can do, if we don't have this backup of this computational the facility, that is the Excel sheet here, the package of Excel we don't have, then what we can do? We have to do it analytically, right? And we are allowed to evaluate a few of these y for a given values of x. So we see that when x tends to 0 or infinity, that is the marginal limits of the given domain, the nonlinear profile of y as a function of x is actually or can be approximated by different or by appropriate linear functions. Right. So when the independent variable tends towards the marginal limits, that may be the beginning or the left hand side limit or the right hand side limit, the respective function actually we can approximate by linear functions of y and x. Though these two linear functions may be different. So let's think example that y is equal to e to the power minus x. Right. So you see, when x tends to 0, y tends to 1, and dy dx tends to what? This, it's e to the power minus x with a minus sign with x is equal to 0, so it is minus 1. So the slope of the curve tends to minus 1, whereas the intercept, this is the intercept, it's y is equal to 1. So y, low value asymptotes, this LVA stands for low value asymptote, may be approximated as 1 minus x. And on the other hand, when x tends to infinity, y tends to 0, dy dx tends to 0, right? So we can say that y HVA, high value asymptote, is 0. Y HVA is 0. Now you see we have to plot this part. So this is y, this is x. So this is the value 1. Right. So this is low value asymptote and this is the high value asymptote. Right. Now if I evaluate some of the points in the intermediate regime and where these two asymptotes intersect basically, here the point of intersection, as you can see, is x equal to 1. So this is x equal to 1, right? So over this regime, neither the applicability of high value nor the applicability of low value is valid, right? The applicabilities are less because in this region the curve, you see that these two asymptotes we have found upon applying a specific limit. So when actually we are going towards that limit, means this low value will be more followed in this region and high value will be more followed in this region, and their deviation from the actual curve will be maximal in this region. So where it is maximal, let's evaluate some of the e to the power minus x values like this, and this. We will see that. And if now I join them by a smooth curve and make it asymptotic, means limiting, I will be able to draw this profile of e to the power minus x or a graph. So what is the advantage here we are actually taking from this entire mathematical analysis? That we are not evaluating lot of y for different values of x. We evaluate simply over certain region in the neighborhood of this intersection of the two asymptotes, and we have found that these two asymptotes equation, so graph that actual profile will be merging to high value asymptote when x tending to infinity, and it will be merging to low value asymptote when x tends to 0, right? And intermediately it will be deviant maximally from that actual curve. The asymptotes here, it has got maximum deviation. So we'll evaluate some of the data points in the neighborhood, and from there if we trace the curve, we can actually go for manual plotting of this profile without lot of numerical experiment, which means finding of y for a given value of x. So the same technique we are going to apply to construct the plot of amplitude ratio with omega, right? So let's think of first order system. So for first order system, this this amplitude ratio directly is equal to Kp divided by under root of tau p square omega square plus 1, and phi is equal to tan inverse of minus omega tau. Right? So you see here that if we think of LFA now, LFA means what? Low frequency asymptote. So what do you observe? That as omega tends to 0, AR tends to 1, or rather sorry, AR tends to Kp, or AR by Kp tends to 1, and phi tends to 0. Right? Now, if I find out that dAr d omega, so it will be definitely, you see I am not going to find out the entire derivative, but you can see this this omega, okay, let me solve it, minus half Kp tau p square omega square plus 1 whole to the power 3 by 2 into tau p square into 2 omega, right? So that must tends to 0 because an omega is there in the numerator, and additionally d phi d omega is 1 divided by 1 plus tau p omega whole square tan inverse derivative multiplied by minus of omega, sorry, minus of tau. Right? Yeah. So when omega tends to 0, here when is it correct? Okay, 1 divided by 1 plus omega tau p square into numerator of minus tau p. So what you can do actually, that we have chosen, see, we have chosen log axis, right? So we have chosen log axis. So for this omega, but what you can do here, we can write that d phi d ln omega. So d ln omega means d omega by omega. So actually that is minus tau p omega divided by 1 plus tau p whole square. Right. So 1 plus tau p whole square. So that tau tends to 0 as omega tends to 0. Right. So low frequency asymptote, the equation will be, here we see what? AR tends to 1 and the slope tends to 0 as omega tends to 0. And here we have seen that phi tends to 0 and d phi d ln omega tends to 0 as omega tends to 0. So this LFA, the equation of LFA will be what? Equation of LFA we can write that AR by Kp equal to 1 and phi is equal to 0 degree. Right? Phi is equal to 0 degree because the slope finally in this semi-log space, that is omega versus log of phi versus log of omega, and it's equal to 0. So phi is equal to 0. Next, if we think of high frequency asymptote on the other side, so if we think of high frequency asymptote, let's say it is high frequency asymptote HFA. Now you see what? Omega tending to infinity, AR tends to, if here this omega tends to infinity, AR tends to 0 and phi tends to minus 90. Right. However, this is not giving me the asymptotic equation. What we have to do, we have to go for solving it more appropriately, because this omega tending to 0, AR tends to 0, and if we find the slope, right, the slope, and here if we convert it into log of omega axis, the slope will be tending to 0, but how come this amplitude ratio or omega is tending to infinity, right? So if the slope has to be, a slope is being 0, then amplitude ratio cannot be equal to 0 everywhere. The slope must be something else. So how we can do that? We will go for writing that when omega tends to infinity, tau omega is much higher, or tau omega whole square is much higher than 1. So 1 we can neglect, and we got amplitude ratio is equal to Kp divided by tau p omega. And this we can go for an asymptotic plot only, that means a linear plot, if we go for log space. So log of AR by Kp is equal to minus of log of tau p omega. So this is the equation of high frequency asymptote, right? Typically this, which states, and that justifies this, justifies that why we have to choose log axis to represent AR, or alternatively we can also go for plotting AR by K. So Bode plot is a log-log plot of AR by omega, right, and a semi-log plot for phi versus omega. A log-log plot for this AR by omega or AR by Kp by omega, and a semi-log plot for phi versus omega. So additionally, if omega tends to infinity, phi tends to minus 90, right? So if we solve for d phi d omega, it's equal to 1 divided by, or we already have evaluated it, minus tau p divided by 1 plus tau p square omega square. So d phi d ln or d of log omega, the same thing, is basically minus tau p, and here we are getting d omega by omega, so it is to be cross multiplied, I think, right? Yeah, this is omega, so 1 plus tau p square omega square, right, with a minus sign. That is the case. So the thing is, if omega tends to infinity, d of phi, d of log omega tends to what? Tends to 0. Why? Because you see, omega tending to infinity, it's already infinity by infinity form. So we can use L'Hospital and we can take the derivative. So here in the numerator it will be tau p, in the denominator we will have 2 tau p square omega. So if we put the limit omega tending to infinity, the entire term vanishes. So actually the slope of this curve will be again 0. So this is the high frequency asymptote for amplitude, and we can have another high frequency asymptote for phi, as phi is equal to minus 90. Right? So if I summarize what we have got, that low frequency asymptote, AR by Kp equal to 1 and phi is equal to 0. High frequency asymptote, we have got log of AR by Kp equal to minus of log of tau p omega, and phi is equal to minus 90. Now with that understanding, now we will go for the construction of Bode plot. See, in the handout, we have chosen, instead of omega, we have chosen tau p into omega to represent this x-axis. But here, we will choose omega itself. And this is the log axis, so 0, say 1, not 0, sorry, 0.1, say 1, then 10, 100, let's say it is 1000. Because this is a log axis. So here it is 0.1, 1, 10, 10 square, 10 cube. Right? Now instead of this AR, we can always go for plotting AR by Kp, because there is a normalized value of 1. Let's say here the value is 0.1 and above and over the value will be 10, so we are not interested in that. And low frequency asymptote, the value is 0, high frequency the value is minus 90. So you will write this is 0, this is minus 90, and let's say somewhere intermediate this is minus 40. Right. So with that, first we have to draw the low frequency asymptote. So what is low frequency asymptote? AR by Kp equal to 1, the slope is equal to 0. So this, generally it is represented in the form of dotted line. So it's like this. So this is low frequency asymptote. Now which one is the high frequency asymptote? Log of AR by Kp is equal to minus of log tau p omega, and we can further split it down as minus of log of tau p minus of log of omega. Right. So it's linear with omega. Now the point is, in order to draw this, right, where from it has started, because finding the intercept in a log-log plot is really difficult. So what we can do, that let's find the point of intersection of the low frequency and high frequency, and additionally it has got some mathematical importance because we know that the curve will be maximally deviant from the asymptotes over that region. Okay, so this frequency, intersection of HFA, high frequency asymptote and low frequency asymptote, is known as corner frequency. Right? Omega C. So corner frequency for this first order system. Now we have AR equal to 1, AR by Kp equal to 1. Here log of AR by Kp equal to this. So tau p into omega C is equal to 1. So omega C is equal to 1 by 2. So this is the corner frequency for first order system. So let's say tau p is somewhere here. We don't know. Sorry, 1 by tau p is somewhere here. So this is 1 by tau. So this is the point of intersection. And from this point we can always draw a straight line with a slope of -1 in log-log space. And how will you draw it in a log-log space? Just measure some length. Don't go by the scale. In log-log, that is the beauty, that if we go by 5 cm in this direction and 5 cm in this direction and mark the point, that will be the line with the slope of -1, right? So, and previously we have marked LFA. Now in this phi versus omega plot, we have LFA is this. Here the asymptote does not intersect, but they are parallel to each other. So this is LFA, this is HFA. Correct? And at corner frequency, if I look into that actual value of phi, actual value of phi, it's basically this tan inverse of minus tau d omega. So if there we substitute omega equal to 1 by tau p, we get phi equal to tan inverse of -1, that is -45. So basically, if this is the corner frequency, this omega c is equal to 1 by tau p, so it must pass to the point. Right? Now in this region close to corner frequency, we will evaluate some of the actual value by using the fundamental expression, that is AR is equal to Kp divided by under root of tau p square omega square plus 1 and phi is equal to tan inverse of minus tau p. So if I do that, definitely this sort of points will obtain, and here will obtain this sort of points. So few points we have evaluated, and you see now if I join them by a smooth line, which converges finally to the asymptote, I will get this sort of asymptote for this amplitude ratio plot, and here it will be like this. Okay, marching to, actually it will march to -90. So that's the Bode plot of first order system. Okay. So we'll extend this idea of Bode plot for the second order system as well. See, this is second order system. We have already found that amplitude ratio Kp under root of 1 minus tau square omega square whole square plus 2 tau zeta omega whole square, and phi is equal to tan inverse of minus 2 tau zeta omega divided by 1 minus tau square omega square. So what is the low frequency asymptote? Again, we find that as omega tending to 0, what is our finding? Let's say omega tending to 0, AR tends to Kp. D we can find out actually log of AR, D log of omega will be 0. Right. And phi will be equal to 0 with d phi, d log of omega equal to 0. We can check it out. And actually this low finding is not necessary. Most of these asymptotes at low frequency, except a few, will have 0 slope. Right? You can check for initial 2 or 3. And once you remember, or once you have accustomed rather with the Bode plot for standard systems like first order, second order, dead time, pure capacitive, P, Pi, PID, etc. Right? You can go for plotting it for multi-capacities as well, multi-capacity non-interactive system. So you will see that. So omega tending to 0, this AR tends to Kp, the slope in the log space will be 0, phi is equal to 0, and the slope in the semi-log space will be also equal to 0. So low frequency asymptote equation will be AR by Kp equal to 1 and phi is equal to 0. Now when omega tends to infinity, definitely again the same problem arises because AR tends to 0. However, you see that if we can drop omega, this 1 here as omega tends to infinity, so 1 is negligible, is 1. And additionally here the maximal power is omega to the power 4, whereas here it's omega square. So when omega tends to infinity, omega to the power 4 is much greater than omega square. So simply we can replace, or you can drop this term and we can write that AR is equal to Kp divided by tau square omega square. Right? So obviously log of AR by Kp will be equal to minus 2 log of tau omega, which is split that 2 log of tau minus 2 log of omega. Okay. So the equation will be this log of AR by Kp equal to, or basically whatever we have written already. This is the high frequency asymptote. And additional, you see, phi will tends to what? When omega tends to this infinity. So this is 1 is negligible. Minus cancels out. Here tau omega giving the tau omega in the denominator. So it is proportional, or actually phi will be equal to tan inverse into 2 zeta divided by tau omega when omega tends to infinity. Now when omega tends to infinity, this denominator tends to infinity, so it is tan inverse of 0, right? Tan inverse of 0. Now tan inverse of 0 does not mean if it will be equal to 0 degree. Why? Because the initial value of low frequency is also 0, high frequency cannot be 0. So you have to search for the next higher level of periodicity where this phi or tan inverse or tan of phi is equal to 0. See, second order is a lag system, and we know there are two this justifies this. Now second order is a lag system. A second order can be obtained from two first orders connected in series. That is the idea of multi-capacity. And we know for non-interacting multi-capacity, phi is equal to phi 1 plus phi 2. phi is equal to, or phi overall will be equal to phi 1 plus phi 2. So for a second order multi-capacity type non-interacting system, phi will be is equal to phi 1 plus phi 2, and for extreme omega, when omega tending to infinity, then phi 1 tends to minus 90, phi 2 tends to minus 90. So phi overall, which is a second order system phase shift, must tends to minus 180. So we have phi tending to minus 180. And that is also consistent with tan of phi is equal to 0 degree. Right? So if I again go for d phi d log omega, with omega tending to infinity, we will get this is to be 0. So this is one equation. Another equation will be phi is equal to minus 180. That is the equation for the phase shift. So done. Next, we will plot this. The respective Bode plot, we will try to find out. So let's not erase this, let's only erase this part. Okay, the box and all will remain identical. The omega axis we are not also erasing. So let's erase this corner frequency. Here also let's erase this, right, and these limits, because the limits will no longer be same, and this corner frequency pointed. So now you see that this low frequency asymptote is this low frequency asymptote. Now high frequency asymptote is of having a slope of log of AR by Kp versus log omega. It's a straight line with a slope of minus 2. And what is the corner frequency here? So corner frequency here, omega c, will be AR by Kp, substitute here at 1. So tau omega is equal to 1. So omega is equal to, just again the same, 1 by tau. Right. So let's say here we have the corner frequency. Omega is equal to 1 by tau. And from here we have to draw a straight line with a slope of minus 2. That means in this direction, if we are, suppose we are going by a scale measurement of 5, so in this we have to go by 2.5, just the half of it, and then we will get a slope of minus 2. Okay? And here the limits will be 0 degree to minus 180 degree. Right? And we have the low frequency asymptote as a straight line at phi equal to 0, and this will be the high frequency asymptote, and that phi is equal to minus 180. So this is low frequency asymptote, and this is the high frequency asymptote. And at corner frequency, that is omega c equal to 1 by tau, if I substitute here the values, then phi is equal to tan inverse of minus infinity. Tan inverse minus infinity, because denominator becoming 0, and here it is the minus sign. So tan inverse of minus infinity, which is minus 90. Right? So at this point, it will pass through a value like here. Now again, just like that, in the intermediate region of this corner frequency, we will evaluate some of the experimental data points. I am not drawing this plot because here it is manual plot, right? So finally what it will give you? It may give you a plot like this. Or a plot like this. Or a plot like this. That depends on this regional value. Here we plot like this. And a plot like this, or maybe in extreme case a plot like this. So what does it mean? Here actually it indicates three different types of second order system. These are Bode plots for zeta, the damping factor greater than 1. This is zeta equal to 1 for critical, this is zeta less than 1. So this one is under damped, this is critically damped, and this one is over damped. Whereas here this is zeta less than 1, zeta equal to 1, and here it will be zeta greater than 1. So that's the Bode plot for second order system. Now you see, if you are not actually you don't want to go for this actual plot, you are satisfied with the asymptotes, then simply plot this dotted line, like here for the same axis it will be a plot like this. This represents second order, and here you write this minus 2, and AR by Kp is equal to 1 here. Okay, so that's the asymptotic Bode plot, where only we are showing the asymptote, because the rest it's a experiment. We have to do numerical experiment, we have to find out the values, and therefrom we have to go for the plot. So that's the asymptotic Bode plot. Is simply we are plotting the asymptote from theoretical consideration. So that's about the Bode plot of this second order system. Right. So next let's go for the Bode plot of P, Pi and PID. The easier one I'm not going for. The P, Pi, PID, let's do it. So not P, Pi, PD and PID. So for Pi, amplitude ratio is Kc under root 1 plus 1 by tau I omega whole square, and phi is equal to tan inverse of minus 1 divided by tau I omega. Right? So LFA, low frequency asymptote. We can find it as AR equal to Kc, and phi minus 90. Everywhere the slope of these two curves will be 0. And HFA. You see again we have to go for actually defining the straight line equation. So omega tending to infinity, omega tending to 0. Oh no, sorry, I've done it wrongly. Omega tending to 0. Right. So this part is blowing up to infinity. So 1 is negligible. So actually the equation will be AR by Kc is equal to minus of log tau I. So that's the equation. For HFA, when omega tends to infinity, this part is becoming 0. So we can write this AR by Kc is equal to 1. And phi, here omega tending to infinity, phi must tends to 0, and the slope we will find that we can actually get the slope is also equal to 0. So AR by Kc equal to 1, phi is equal to 0, AR by Kc equal to minus of log tau I omega, phi equal to minus 90. So let's plot this Pi. So this is omega axis. I am not giving you the value because it's a general plot, right? For omega axis specification of the value for initial understanding I have specified. Now it is not required. So instead of AR we can plot here AR by Kc, right? And this is say 1. And here the phi, it's 0 degree and minus 90 degree, right? Now corner frequency, corner frequency will be here, omega c will be equal to 1 by tau. It's obvious, right? So let's say this value represents this corner frequency. So here omega c equal to 1 by tau I, here omega c equal to 1 by tau I. right? Now high frequency asymptote AR by KC equal to 1. Like this, high frequency asymptote. And here, this is low frequency asymptote. The slope is -1. Okay? The slope is -1. And here LFA is -90. HFA is this 0. And at this corner frequency omega c equal to 1 by tau I. So if you substitute tan inverse of -1, so -45. Right. So this is the asymptotic Bode plot for amplitude ratio. Now if I have to go for the actual plot, we have to evaluate some of the data in this neighborhood of corner frequency, and the actual Bode plot will be something like this. Whereas here, for phase shift, it will be like this. Okay. So that's the Bode plot for PI. For PI, for PD on the other hand, you see this amplitude ratio is equal to Kc 1 plus tau d omega whole square. And phase shift, it's always now positive, the tan inverse tau d omega. So what will be this LFA? That AR by KC, here it's equal to 1 because omega tending to 0, AR is equal to KC, and slope in the log space we can prove that it is equal to 0. Right? And phi is equal to 0 with the slope in the Sebeloff space also equal to 0. Now HFA. HFA will be log of AR by Kc is equal to log of tau d omega. Right. And here phi is equal to 90 degree because the respective slope in the semi-log space will be 0. So, and corner frequency omega c will be equal to 1 by tau d. It's very obvious that AR by Kc, if you substitute here 1, tau d omega is equal to 1 and omega c will be equal to 1 by tau. So this is AR by Kc, this is omega. Here omega, here phi. So it is 90 degree, here it is 0 degree, here let's say it is AR equal to 1. This 1 and we are plotting this AR by Kc. Right? So AR by Kc equal to 1, which is LFA. Corner frequency is 1 by tau d. So this is omega equal to 1 by tau d. Here also omega equal to 1 by tau. Now this HFA equal to this straight line in this omega space, with slope equal to 1. And here in this phase shift, phi is equal to 0 and phi is equal to 90. So this is HFA, this is LFA. And at corner frequency, the value of phi will be equal to 45 dB, somewhere here. Right? Now if this is the asymptotic Bode plot, if we go for the actual plot upon finding some values in this region, we will get this sort of plot. And here is this. And the next will be if I combine all these three, or all these two rather, Pi and PID, we get Pi and PD, we get PID. So what will be the Bode plot for PID? See, for PID, AR is equal to Kc under root 1 plus tau d minus tau d omega divided by tau I omega 1 minus square, and phi is equal to tan inverse of tau d omega minus tau I omega. And actually we don't have to go for any LFA HFA analysis, because we already know what are the LFAs and HFAs for Pi and PD. See, let's say this is 1 by tau I, this is 1 by tau d, and here also this is 1 by tau I, this is 1 by tau d, and AR by Kc in this direction, and let's say this is the value 1. So you see, for Pi it was like this, for PD it was like this, right? So the thing is, actually you see that here in Bode plot, if we simply superimpose these two, because individually we can think that okay, we have a Pi and we have a PD, like what I am trying to say, that AR is equal to AR1 into AR2, and we write here this AR1 is equal to some 1 plus 1 divided by tau I omega whole square under root, and AR2 we write, see, is tau d omega, right? So AR2 we write tau d omega. So actually this, whenever I am writing tau d omega, it's a plot like this. It's a plot like this. So we have to think of these two. This plot is valid here. There is no such region, and if we superimpose now, we will be getting, a plot like this. Right. And here it will vary from minus 90 to plus 90. Right? So when phi, for this this expression, when phi or omega tends to 0, when omega tends to 0, this is minus infinity, so minus 90, right? This will be minus 90, and sorry, here it will be plus, here it will be minus. It will be minus 90, and omega tends to infinity, phi will be equal to plus 90. So tentatively we can say that this sort of curve will result. What I suggest that you consider this PID, the low frequency and high frequency, you do it of yourself and try to get this sort of plot, right? But there is a point we have considered that 1 by tau I here is less than equal to 1 by tau d we have considered, right? But if the system or if this space is something like this, here we have 1 by tau I, here we have 1 by tau d, right? Then actually the curve will look like this. These are the asymptotes and the curve will look like this. Okay, tentatively. Right? So that's all about the elementary systems Bode plot. So in the next session we are going to discuss a complex this non-interacting capacities Bode plot and how we can at least draw the asymptotes itself along with the phi. Right?